Kelly Chase has been a man for all seasons. He was rough and tumble on the ice, and he brought those attributes along with a wicked sense of humor and unparalleled storytelling abilities over the radio airwaves, where he transitioned from being one of the league's most respected enforcers on the ice to bringing his sharp wit and insights to the radio booth as color commentator on Blues broadcasts and on Sports Talk Radio. To know Kelly is to get past his trademark toughness and see the reasons he won two very special NHL awards. The King Clancy Memorial Trophy, an annual honor given to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice while making it a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. And the NHL's Foundation Award, given to the NHL player who applies the core values of ice hockey, commitment, perseverance, and teamwork to enrich the lives of people in his community. Now let's meet that man. It's been long overdue, hasn't it, folks? Please welcome to the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame, with your applause, one of our favorites, Kelly Chase. Godspeed, Tyson Nash. Good luck.
Oh boy. First guy with a standing O before we got started here.
Yeah.
Holy Chaser, what does this feel like?
Well, this is pretty spectacular based on the fact that I think they were short of selling tables, so they brought the Make-A-Wish kid up here and said, okay, we're going to have him come in.
Hey, can we help this guy with a haircut too? He's had this since I don't know, what, 19 years old?
Changed.
I know you're from Porcupine Plains, but you don't have to look like one.
No, the chemo changed it all. It's all coming forward now. It used to stand straight up like a porcupine's ass, and now it's kind of falling forward.
Well, I gotta say, the only guy we're missing up here is Tony Twist, who is also my line mate, along with Kelly Chase.
Couldn't catch a pass from either of you.
Yeah. He used to give it to me in about 18 pieces when I finally got it back when I gave it to him. But usually these two guys, we were sitting in the penalty box, and they had ice bags on their hands. I had an ice bag on my face somewhere, and I'd always look at Kelly and be like...
If you're wondering, that's how he got the nose.
It's not an elbow on my face, folks, by the way.
It's a foot.
Or a canoe.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to say it's good to be back here in St. Louis. Everyone always asks me why I love being a part of the St. Louis Blues in St. Louis, why I love it here so much, and this is the reason right here. The people here, how you guys show up for everyone, how you show up for your athletes, for your players. This literally is the best place in the world to play, and I know, Kelly, you know that better than anyone.
I appreciate it. I actually am very humbled to be here. I see so many people. I see the people I met outside of the game, that I met that are my hockey family people, and I say that not my NHL family, but the kids' hockey, the Wachter family. I see Jimmy O'Brien, where as you guys know, Obie Clark's, if you know anything about me, you know that I've parked my ass there more nights than I've been at home.
He's like Norm.
And my buddy Doug Krogan from Anheuser-Busch, and my friend Kate Corrigan, who, and then we had the referees on our side because Peel always cheated for the Blues. And and then I look over here and I see my friends the alumni and the Blues and Tom Stillman and the way he treats our former players and my former players that I played with. I see that group. I got my alumni buddies over here. Archie Bunker. You called Al McGinnis Archie Bunker earlier. He's
sorry, Al,
grumpy old bugger. But you play with the greatest players in the game with him and Prongs, and of course my best friend Hully's here tonight. He didn't show up for his Hall of Fame thing, but he showed up for me. That's a statement to him, And if it says anything about Tom Stillman and the way he operates, you got Alex Steen and Otter, who played here, that are working for the team, and Steener's coming on as the GM soon in a couple of years. And if you know anything about him and the way he carries himself, cared about St. Louis, cared about the fans, cared about the players. When we won the Cup, he was the captain. He didn't have the C in his jersey, but he was the leader that everyone leaned on. So when you see all of that, and you bring it together, and then the Blues, Mike Caruso's here. He's been with the Blues longer than I've been with the Blues, and that's 30-some years. Bruce Affleck, he's 104. He keeps saying he's retiring. Keeps saying he's retiring. He's here. I mean, I think we have 9 tables, and then my new business is with Carbon, the private club. By the way, there's a party at Carbon later. It's in Clayton. It's just a little. It's a private club, but you're all invited. Won't be private tonight. We'll be there later, and XO. So I have this group of people in this community, and I have no idea why I'm here. I look and go, I'm so fortunate. So thank you.
We got a pretty good idea why you're here.
I don't.
The best damn teammate I've ever had, best friend. That's why you got 3 sold-out tables here from the alumni that absolutely love you. So I was first introduced, and Chaser always makes me tell this story. I was first introduced to Chaser.
You don't have to tell this story. I mean, that's
No,
the
you
reason
want me
your nose
to.
looks like the way it is, but you don't have to tell the story.
I should have asked Larry Plow for a nose full of nickels instead of $1 million for a contract. So I met Chaser back in 1998. It was my first training camp with the Blues, and I was 24. I was a walk-on, and I remember my dad, before I left the house, he said, dude, this is it. Don't say woulda, coulda, shoulda when it's all over. So I get to training camp. I don't know anyone. I'm not a first-round draft pick. I'm a nobody. And we're in the blue-white game, first scrimmage of the day, and I step on the ice. I'm so nervous. And I'm on the white team. I'm playing the blue team. And it's packed, of course, right? It's St. Louis. You guys are filling the building. And puck drops. Left winger on the blue team gets the puck. He's flying up the left side of the ice. Cuts across the blue line. I'm on the ice, and I'm like, oh, my God. This is my time to shine. And I lay this guy out harder than I've ever hit anyone in my life. And he is vertical in the air. He lands. He hits the ice. He's out cold, unconscious. His shoulders separated. And I look down, and I'm like, oh, my God, that guy looks really familiar. Well, it's the Blues, who actually played for the Blues. It's their leading goal scorer the year before, leading assist guy that led him into the playoffs the year before. It's Pavel Demitra, laid out on the ice. You could hear a mouse fart in the building. No one's saying a word. And all I can hear from the other bench is, you are dead. I don't know who you are, but I'm going to kill you. I'm going to rip your head off. It is over for you. And I'm trying to sneak off the ice after they scrape him literally off the ice with a shovel. And I try to make my way to the bench, and the late, great Bobby Plager, who is a St. Louis Blues legend, points and he goes, get out, back on the ice. And I'm like, oh boy. All right, it's time to answer the bell. So I get out to the ice. I don't even think we got to center ice. They didn't drop the puck. Kelly jumps over the bench on the other side, and our helmets are off, our gloves are off, and we are going back and forth, toe-to-toe, as much as I can go toe-to-toe with this guy. He hit me with so many lefts, I was begging for a right. My nose was on the side of my face. He dropped me down. I got back up. He hit me again. It looked like I did a 100-meter dash in a 50-meter gym. That's what my face looked like. It looked like Berge always says, like I swallowed an airbag, trying to put my helmet back on. So you're in training camp, right? So there's no penalties. You just pick your gloves back up and your stick, and you go back to the bench. Well, I try to go back to the bench, and again, Bob Plager's like, back out there. My white jersey is now fully red because of this guy. And the puck drops. Well, actually, sorry, take me back. So Kelly's on the bench. He's trying to get himself together, and he goes, what the frick? That little prick's back on the ice again. So he thinks it's me that is got the coconuts to go back out there again. Well, it's actually Bobby Plager who's like, no, you got to show me what you can do, kid. Get back out there. Let's see what happens. So Chaser jumps over the boards again. He's like, all right, here we go. So the puck drops, goes into the corner. Al McInnes freaking picks it up, Archie Bunker. I take a run at him as hard as I can hit anyone, and clearly I missed him, the wily veteran. Hit the glass. Anyway, Chaser sees it. He goes, oh, my God, he tried to hit Al McInnes. Are you kidding me? I'm going to really kill this kid. So the puck comes around. Chaser gets it on his stick, and I'm like, oh, here we go. This is payback time. I'm going to hit Chaser. I'm going to run him right over. And he pretends, the wily veteran, he's been in the league for 9 years, that he doesn't see me. And I come running at him, and sure enough, right at the last second, I think I got him, and he cross-checks me right in the teeth. As you can see, I'm still missing one thanks to this guy. He folds my bottom row back into my mouth, and I'm like, oh my God, get me off the ice. I'm like, thanks, Dad, that was great advice. But again, that's the teammate that Kelly was, right? Like, but I wasn't his teammate at the time. Pavel Demitra was his teammate. Al McInnes was his teammate, and that's what this guy did. His whole career was stick up for us. I was later his teammate, thank God, because I used to stir it up, and Twister and Chaser used to clean it up. But
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Hall of Famer, Tyson Nash. Oh, shit. The funny thing about that story is that Reed Lowe jumped over the boards to protect him, and he suckered me in the mouth, and we fought. And then he kind of hang on a little bit, and Chopper's in the locker room, and we're sitting there beside each other, and he goes, who was the guy that jumped you? I said, it was this Lowe. He's in the minors. He's, kind of gunning for our job. And he happened to walk by the locker room, and I went after him in the hallway. Is Frank Cusimano here still? Is he gone? Frank was there, and Frank was filming me after Lowe in the hallway. And he's thinking, is this craziness? Like, what's wrong with these guys? But anyway, Twister called me at home later, and you all have heard the stories about Tony and how tough he was. Every one of them are true. He's the toughest man I've ever met in my life, and a great friend. And he says to me, he's seen it on the news. He goes, what the hell's going on down there? Because he had the early shift, and he was gone. I said, well, these young guys are in town. I guess they're trying to take our jobs. He said, well, I'm playing tomorrow. We'll see how tough they are. and he's stretching, in this bikini straps or whatever he wore to stretch in the next day. And he's like, where's Lowe? Where's Nash? And they're both stretching with their heads down, not saying nothing, And Twister said, we're going to see how tough you guys are today. And they're like, oh, no. It was called the race for Chase. We don't mind fighting Chase, but we're not fighting Twist. So it was, but no, it was an interesting time and a different game then. But he made the team because of that kind of intensity.
well, and I kept you employed for 2 or 3 years after that to protect
there
us.
was a day when Twister walked in the locker room and said, this kid here, he's all yours. I'm done with him. I can't listen to him out there on the ice anymore, lipping off to everybody. We were trying to keep peace, and he was trying to start chaos, and so, but it was fun.
So I didn't know if this was a toast or a roast, so you're going through Wikipedia, I guess, right? And
You need to go through Wiki. I should take that shit from you right there.
No,
right
you
now.
shouldn't. Hey,
You don't need
stop bossing me around. You bossed me around my whole career. I finally got a mic, for God's sake. Anyway, you're going through Wikipedia. I'm looking up Chaser, right? And I'm like, okay, 12 seasons. Yep, that makes sense. 12,000, or 2,000, excuse me, penalty minutes. 12,000 would be a lot.
2,000?
2,000 and some. Yeah. 300 pro fights, okay? All totally agree upon. But 6 feet tall? No chance, dude. No chance. 6 feet tall, are you kidding me? Not unless you're standing on Brett Hall's wallet. That's a thick wallet, too.
It's a big wallet.
But, so that brings me to the first question.
We haven't heard one yet. Christ, guys, he's the next Hall of Famer. I mean, listen to him.
So Brett Hall, you guys were roommates for 7 years, and you're still here to talk about it. What was that like?
Well, they originally told me that I was going to be called up to take care of Brett Hall, and I didn't realize it meant all 24 hours a day. I thought it just meant on the ice, but and who knew? Like, leukemia was the disease I was going to get after rooming with him for 7 years. I mean, Jesus. I'm just kidding there, buddy. He is my best friend. We had a lot of fun. And his wife was after we met, so I can say that, No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, like, you get to play with the greatest. I always say this, and I think the guys that have played together have talked about this. You get a rare opportunity to play with greatness. and so I got to play with Al, and I got to play with, and you got to play with Prongs and Hully and Pronger, McInnes, and Hull, and you play with guys like that, and you can't, it's something to play in the NHL. There's just a factor, like everybody's kind of capable when they get to a certain age, but what are you willing to do to play to it, to get to the NHL? Like when you're in the minors, everyone's pretty close to getting that next step, but what are you really willing to do to get there, okay? And then there's the great players, and they're so far beyond us, so Chopper and Pronger, who could play an entire game. I mean, if you were picking an NHL defenseman right now to start a team in the history of the league, he has to be a guy you have to consider as the number one pick ahead of anyone, because he could play an entire game and he'd try and hurt you every minute he was on the ice. And it's just a passion that Pronger had amongst them. But Hully, and I know at his birthday party at Gazer, Ray Whitney said, the greatest goal scorer, and Gretzky was sitting there. He said, "Did I miss something?" But the truth is that he really was. He was ahead of his time with the one-timer, with the being able to shoot. Like, you could slap a puck at his feet when in a practice. If you slapped a puck across the ice when he was just standing in line at a drill, he'd turn around and he'd pick up the pass coming across at him and fire it at the net. And like, it was so uncharacteristic. You see Ovechkin scoring all these goals now one time in puck. Hully did that before anybody. And if they would have cleaned the ice every 7 minutes for Brett and Gretzky and guys like that, or decided there was going to be 3-on-3 hockey at the end of a game for these guys, they'd have 100 more goals. They were so far ahead of everybody that it wasn't even close. The way Chopper shot the puck, are you kidding me? Like, it was 100 miles an hour. It was... I mean, Christ, I say this all the time. Al broke my foot twice, okay? Once I was playing against him, I got in his lane and blocked the shot. And the other time I was trying to get out of the road and I was playing with him. And both times I think he did it on purpose to get me off the ice. He didn't want me on the ice. He's like, this guy stinks. Let's get him off. And he broke my foot. But he was so, powerful and good at what they were so good. And so to play with guys like that, it was just like, holy shit, like I can't believe I'm out here right now. You stood at the red line and warm up when you were a kid, and Messier went by you, and whoever these great players were that you watched on Hockey Night in Canada went by, and you're like, I can't believe I'm standing out here right now, right? And then you play with them, and you're like, you have to be in awe with them, And so, yeah, they're my friends, and they're my best friends, and that's why they're here. But the truth is that we grew up in awe of them.
And you protected them. What was that like?
Well, I've always, my whole life, that everyone's got a guy. I wanted to be the guy that people had. I didn't want to be, hey, I got a guy. I wanted to be the guy. I think, like, Twister knows this too. I think when I was sick and I wasn't doing well, and I went to a game, and Ray Lynn said to me, my wife said to me, I said, people are scared. And she said, they're not scared. And I said, they're not scared of me. They're scared for me, because they think that I'm dying. And I said, no. She's like, no. I said, no, they're scared. And Twister says, no, they're scared for you. They're scared. And because we made a living knowing when people were scared. We could look at you and tell you when you're scared. Because our heart rate goes down when there's shit going to happen. And yours goes up. And so when stuff gets intense, we're in a situation where we've already had that 300 times on the ice, or unfortunately 100 times in a bar. But we already know when that's happening. And so for us, we already knew. So my mom made a comment to me. I want to say it was, she obviously read it somewhere, but it's hard to believe no one will know the violence you went through to become as gentle as you are. And so for us, like, I wanted to be the guy that looked after those guys. Like, I knew already where we came from. Like, we came from the same place. We grew up together. We played junior hockey together. Like, we knew what we were about already. So to be able to help guys that we grew up idolizing, that was the best.
Well, just like you've never been able to find your wallet.
Oh, Jesus, here we go. I asked him for $20 for the valet guy today. He says, I don't have a wallet. I go, no shit. That never changed. I've never seen him with a wallet.
Well, we've never been able to find your hometown on a map, Porcupine Plains. Saskatchewan. But when did it register for you that maybe you had a chance to play in the best league in the world?
Yeah, I grew up in a little town, and when you drive into town, it's Kelvington, Saskatchewan, which is I'm just down the road. It says, "Welcome to Canada's Hockey Factory." And there's 9 guys that are on a billboard there that played in the NHL. So Kosher, Wendell Clark, all these, you see Barry Melrose, all these guys, Lloyd Grunsdal, all these guys that got pro contracts. So for us in the summertime, we just went and tried to be like them. We tried to emulate them. So I don't think there was a time. I think I just, I went to camp in Hartford as an 18-year-old, and I have a good story about that, and it probably longer than our time allows. But since I'm last, screw it, I'm going to tell you it. But
He always follows the rules.
yeah. But I met Gordie Howe at the gate going to Hartford's camp, and he said to me, hey, and I went up to him, and I finally got the courage, and I said, "Mr. Howe, I'm Kelly Chase. I'm from Saskatoon." And, I just met Babe Ruth of hockey. And for guys that I watched as I grew up, Ray Langford wearing 16, who I grew up watching, going to Cardinal games, loving to watch Steven running through everybody. Those guys, I wearing 39, the number I wore, I kind of did it a disservice compared to Steven. but I loved St. Louis sports and everything, but I was growing up idolizing these guys. But Gordie Howe, that was Babe Ruth. And I saw him, and he said, "Sit down." I went over, talked to him, "Mr. Howe, I played in Gordie Howe Bowl, Gordie Howe Park, Gordie Howe Arena. Thanks for what you do for the kids in Saskatchewan." He said, "Sit down." I talked to him. They cancel our flight. They say, "Mr. Howe, are you two together? We've got you a hotel room." He said, "Yes, we are." I'm like, holy shit. I'm rooming with Gordie Howe, right? That's like, Ray, you rooming with Babe Ruth, right? Can you imagine? Right? Can you imagine? So I go throw my bag in the room. He goes, "Come on, we'll go have a steak and a beer." I'm not old enough to drink, but I'm going down there for a beer with Gordie. And he said, "Well, what round were you drafted in?" I said, "I wasn't drafted." He said, "You weren't drafted? Well, how'd you get to Hartford?" I said, "I don't know. Somebody went to bat for me." And he said, "Well, make sure they know who you are, kid, because you're not going to, impress these scouts that didn't draft you. They're going to go to bat for their guys." I said, "No problem, Mr. Howe." Anyways, night ends the next day. I get to practice, and I'll speed up the story, but I got to the practice, and I got in the game, and just missed the first game. I played in the second game in the afternoon. And I got into, this guy threw a pass, and it was Mr. Root, Bill Root, who was a journeyman. I watched on Hockey Night in Canada, journeyman defenseman, and he threw it to his partner. I hit the guy, kind of cleaned him up with a hit, and he dropped his gloves and fought me, and we fought, and I did pretty good, and Bill Root was disappointed in the pass that I threw, and I was a rookie, and he came after me the next shift, and I didn't want to fight with Bill Root because all I knew of Bill Root was I watched him on TV, and I was so I didn't want to fight with this guy, but he dropped his gloves, and we fought, and Bill got third. And so the next day, I went to go to practice, and the roommate I had was Paul Lawless, a veteran, and we each had a veteran as our roommate. And he said, "Be careful out there today, kid." And I was so off the farm. I didn't even know how to order a cab. I was so off the farm. I was useless. And I said, "Oh, yeah." I got to the rink, and the puck dropped in first practice, and I looked back, we won the draw, and I turned to look forward, and boom, I got punched right in the nose by this guy. And the gloves came off, and I never even got my gloves off, and Dana Merzen beat the hell out of me. And he was a big 6'5" defenseman, and I was embarrassed. I was like, shit, I'm embarrassed. And I couldn't get back out on the ice. I was yelling at him and screaming at him, and I wanted to get out there and get into it with this guy. And I think Tex Evans, the coach, was trying to save my life because I was just a dumb rookie. And he didn't put me out the first half. And in the second half, when they were flooding the ice to go out, I followed the Zamboni down, and Dana was leaning on the net with Steve Weeks, just leaning back on the net talking. And I followed the Zamboni down, and when I made the turn, I clocked him over the head with my stick. I speared him with what was left of it, and then I jumped on top of him and started beating the hell out of him in this net, while the Zambonis were flooding the ice. And Tex Evans and all these veterans were on top of me, and then Tex Evans was like, "All right, you dumb little shit, I'll put you out there." And he just kept putting me on the ice, and I just kept having to fight with these men. And I had no man strength. I was 18 years old. I was fighting with these guys. And after the practice, my own teammates were looking at me like, "Where did we find this lunatic?" And I left the locker room, and I went out to the bus at Avon Old Farms in Connecticut. And just in front of the bus, this big old arm come around me. It was Gordie Howe. He said, "Hey, kid, they frickin' know who you are now." And so they offered me a contract, and I clearly knew I wasn't ready to play in the American League or the NHL, and I went back to junior, and that's when I had some success in junior, and I signed, and Bobby Plager came to visit me with Patty Janelle and said, "We're going to sign you because you're undrafted, and we can sign you, and we're going to draft Twist, and we need to change the makeup of St. Louis and the way people look at it, and we're going to bring you guys in. You're going to change the makeup." And I was like, "All right." And I signed, and then they drafted Twister in the summer, just like they said they would, and so we came to camp, and that's when I think we got a little bit of a reputation of making sure that people were taken care of.
Well, you took care of people on the ice, there's no question, but off the ice as well, Chaser. So besides playing, you did so many incredible things for so many people. The police, Anheuser-Busch, the Blues alumni that's here in full force here tonight, best alumni in the world. Also, Gateway Special Hockey Program. You won the Kid Clancy for that. I know that's huge for you, but what are you most proud of off the ice?
Well, like all of that stuff, because like I said, I don't feel like, I'm deserving or I'm humbled to be here because of I mean, I look at the stats and some of these guys that are in this thing, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, and I know all of these guys, and I used to come to this thing and see Mr. Buck and Red and Stan, Mr. Musial and Shane Deast and Whitey and all these guys that were here, and it was an awe for me when I would come to these things. Chopper winning, Holly winning, like all these guys. So I don't have those stats. So I'm honored to be here, of course. Like the things that we've done with Anheuser-Busch, and I'm proud that AB has always been supportive of us and the community and what we do with the Police Foundation. Strohmeyer's here. I see guys that are part of what the fabric of what made me want to be a St. Louis Blue, because I was a blue-collar kid that didn't know any better. Gateway Special Hockey, Tony Sansone, started me with that, and it was something that I just said I would help with the no kids playing hockey, and that has special needs kids in St. Louis. I thought at the time, it turned out it was nobody in the United States, and we started a program which now has hundreds of teams in the United States that are special needs playing hockey, and we just started, and that group is in the Hall of Fame in Toronto in the Hall of Fame, and we didn't do it like Hully was on the ice and Shanny was on the ice and Cujo, and they didn't do it because they were looking for some attribute or some pat on the back. They just did it because I said, hey, these kids don't have any ice time, and they did it, and we started a program, and the next thing you know, it took off. So I win the King Clancy, and I get honored on stage. These guys deserve the award, like not just my teammates, but all these people in St. Louis that started the program. I just went out on the ice once a week. It wasn't like, for me, it was nothing. But I get this award. I'm like, I don't even know how to accept this award because I didn't do shit. Everybody that did the work, so you try and compliment them. But I think the greatest, the most special time was being traded back to St. Louis. So I got traded. That asshole Keenan traded me. I got traded back. You guys can all agree he was an asshole. I mean, come on, be honest. And I got traded back, and I knew how much I loved St. Louis, but I didn't realize the mutual admiration for each other. So when I got traded back, and in the ovation, and Hully standing on the ice saying, "Hey, put your stick in the air," like I'm not used to being people applauding me. So I put my stick in the air, and then and I said, "Hey." Like it was emotional, and then it became like embarrassing. I'm like, you think they know I only got 2 goals last year? But anyways, that was probably the most special moment as a Blue, knowing that how much, because as I said, you get all these guys, and again, I've tried to make sure I hope I didn't miss anybody, but I really care about the city and it doing well, and I think that's the most important thing, is that I think that's probably what's paid me back the most.
That's great. 300 pro fights, Chaser.
300, huh? That's all?
Well, pro fights.
It feels worse.
Yeah, it looks worse too, by the way. Oh, jeez. But 300 pro fights. You fought your good friend Tony Twist. What, two times?
We fought a
times?
couple times at practice that no one talks about, but he cheated. He took his jersey off that fight. He didn't do his tie down up. It fell off. He said it fell off.
Yeah.
I love him.
You fought Tyson Nash.
Yeah, well, that wasn't really a fight. It was more like
A pillow fight.
hickeys and hand jobs or something. I don't know what that was.
But you also fought a guy 6'5", 230 pounds, Stu Grimson, nicknamed the Grim Reaper. Excuse me, Raper. Sorry.
Don't call him that.
Yeah.
Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Grim Reaper.
You fought him 11 times.
Yeah.
5 times in one weekend. So, when we all heard the diagnosis, obviously, prostate cancer, then leukemia, we knew you had it because you're the toughest human being we've ever met. But tell us about the fight, your amazing family, and the people that helped you.
Well, yeah, my family, my son Will is here tonight. I have 3 boys, Luke, Ben, Will. And during the treatments, Will was Twister. Actually, Twister and Will were line mates and keeping people away from there. And my doctors are here tonight, Dr. Ramsey Aboud and his wife Claire. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
Dr. Trish Herford here tonight, who has found out that I had leukemia. And Dr. Birnbaum, who has been our team doctor. I mean, there's many a night when there's some trouble downtown, and Doc, I've had to call him and said, hey, I might need some stitches. And we can't have the media find out. And Dr. Birnbaum, thanks for all you've done for my family as well. So I've got everybody here that's taking care of me. The police, Anheuser-Busch, and the doctors. I've got everybody here. I got it covered. But you know what's funny is that, and I said my son Will, Ray Lynn, we've had this thing about trying to just keep calm when the storm happens. But actually, you talked about Grimson. I fought him 11 times. I woke up one morning. He was beside my bed in the hospital at Siteman's. I looked over. I'm like, oh, Jesus, I must be sick. You're here. And he started laughing, and I said, this is your best chance. You're 0-11. Go at it, buddy. And he started laughing. He said, Chase, I'm going to kiss you right in the lips right now, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're too frail. And he was right. But it's funny because, like I was just talking to Dr. Aboud about it. I said, listen, he's like, did I treat you? Because you look good, and I was laughing, but I think about this a little bit. Like, I think, the pain in our game is inevitable. You're going to have that. But suffering for everybody is an option. It's optional. Like, how long do you want to whine? How long do you want to piss and moan about what you got? I've been very fortunate. I lived my dream playing in the NHL. I have nothing. I have no regrets. I have nothing that I could, whine about. So everything from here on out is a bonus. So I'm in remission. I know Dan said, I'm cancer-free. Well, I feel like I am right now, but I don't know. I don't want to poke fun at cancer because it comes back. And we had this thing about ringing the bell, and one of the nurses said, are you going to ring the bell? I said, I don't want to ring the bell. It's like showing up somebody in a fight. They're going to come back and get you. Eventually somebody's going to get you. And she said, yeah, but what about all the people that don't get to ring the bell? How come you don't ring the bell for them? And I was like, oh, you had to say that. So I didn't ring the bell. I'm very grateful for the people that I've had in my life here that have helped me. And a lot of people in there, cancer's hard. The treatment's the worst. It's what hurt, But if you don't have people, you don't have a community, you're screwed, okay? Like, I have my hockey family, my Gaza family, my friends from Gaza Ranch that bought a table tonight, and some are here and some that aren't. I have my brotherhood of St. Louis alumni and hockey people who, it's the most unique brotherhood in sports. And so if you don't have that, I walk by lots of rooms every day and see people dying. And I think I feel bad for them and I feel sorry for them, but nobody's been there to see them. And they die because they're lonely. They die because they don't have people. Maybe they're working because they can't pay for insurance or whatever the hell it might be. I didn't have that. I had, Will was chasing people away. Twister was keeping people away. He's still protecting everybody. Twister's the one that, scanned me out of the hospital when I needed to, or was coming there to get me when I was losing it. And, you just have to realize that we have such a great community here in St. Louis. Like, we just really do. And that's what pulls you through shit like that, you know? So for me, I'm just grateful. I don't know. I don't even know why the hell I'm here, to be honest with you. I'm just thankful for all of you.
Wow, that's a... Last question. The fighting, the grind, if you could do it all over again, would you do it any different?
Yeah, probably with a little more fire. I said that at the end of that documentary, The Ice Guardians. I'd put a little more fire. I'd probably have. I'd do it a little bit quieter, but there'd be a little bit more intensity to it. Like, I have no regrets on the way that I had it, but if I could do it over again, I wouldn't miss it for the world. It was so great. And you know, I'm so grateful. Like, I just had so many things work my way for a kid that wasn't very good. I got to play a long time, get to meet people, and be in the city, and you know, have all the friends I have. I'm thankful.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kelly Chase.
All right, just so you know, I don't know if I said this earlier, but we have a little private club in Clayton called Carbon, and we are going there after, and you're all invited. So come on by.